That matters. Everything matters. I mean, at scale.
But what matters most, like...
Right, that is the evil, right? The evil is it's the same thing as saying the necessary evil of dropping nuclear bombs on civilians is if you don't do that, then there'll be more evil. Then more things will happen. It's kind of the same thing. Like it
comes from the same place, which is hubris. Like imagining you're God, you have unlimited power, and you have omniscience. You can imagine what the future is going to be. You can't. You're a fucking idiot. You're a person. Like you can't even make your wife happy.
Right.
Like the limits of your power are really obvious. The limits of your wisdom, same. So like, don't jump into shit, big things whose outcomes you can't predict with certainty. Like you can't know. Go in with humility. I guess that's what I'm saying. Right. So
yeah.
And do what you can, knowing that you're probably going to screw it up. And you probably won't achieve your goal, but like you should try. And on the AI question, everyone I've ever talked to about, I'm hardly an expert. I don't own a computer, okay? But everybody I've ever talked to, and there's many people, was like, yeah, it's could get away from us and enslave us. Well, let's say no to slavery. How's that? Is that a tough one? Not for me.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe a good use of nuclear weapons would be to hit the data centers. No, I'm serious. Like, why is that crazy?
It's not. It's not if you think that human beings are the end of this evolutionary chain.
Well, what else is? Some supercomputer in a data center outside Dulles Airport? No. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't actually think that individuals, I don't think I'm that important. My life is that important. I will die. I know that. And I try to keep that in mind every day.
But you're important to everybody that cares about you. You're important to the people around you.
But if we don't think people are important, then what do we think is important? I guess that's what I'm saying.
Not necessarily that we don't think people are important, but if evolution is real, and if there is this constant,
it real?
I don't know, but it's visible. Like you can measure it in certain animals.
You can measure adaptation.
Yeah.
But there's no evidence that in fact, I think we've kind of given up on the idea of evolution. The theory of evolution as articulated by Darwin is like kind of not true. Right?
In what sense?
Well, in the most basic sense, the idea that, all life emerged from a single cell organism and over time, and there would be a fossil record of that, and there's not. And
there's not a fossil record of transitionary species, like species that are adapting to its environment.
There's tons of record of adaptation, and you see it in your own life. I mean, I have a lot of dogs. I see adaptation in dogs, through the litter to litter. But no, there's no evidence at all zero, that people evolve seamlessly from a single cell amoeba. No, there's not. There's no chain in the fossil record of that at all. And that's why you don't actually hear people, you hear them make reference to evolution because the theory of adaptation is obviously true. But Darwin's theory's totally, that's why it's still a theory almost 200 years later, No, we have not found that at all. And I can't even guess. I mean, I have my own theories on it, but they're not proven.
What are your theories?
God created people, distinctly, and animals. I mean, I think what every person on Earth thought until the mid-19th century, actually.
Right, but
it's not a new idea.
They didn't have computers. They didn't have a general understanding that we have today of the process.
Do you think we understand more now?
Yes.
Really?
You don't think that we understand more today?
We understand way less. We understand so little that we're actually sitting here allowing a bunch of greedy, stupid, childless software engineers in Northern California to flirt with the extinction of mankind. So no, previous generations would be like, what? No, stop. And we're not doing that because
but they wouldn't have done that even with the nuclear bomb. I mean, obviously the Manhattan Project was done in secrecy, but they wouldn't have stopped it because the imperative of getting this weapon before Hitler got the weapon was what it was.
Well, Hitler
on
was kind of
mind.
done by then. The Russians had pretty much extinguished any hope that would continue. But
not at the beginning
we were,
of the project.
We were in the middle of the logic of war.
At the commencement of the Manhattan Project.
For sure. But the logic was the same, and it was 4 years of got to beat the other guy, got it. And I don't mean to sound too judgmental about the bomb. I know why they built it, okay? But you just wonder why nobody in the middle of that thought, is this really and some of them did think it. Actually.
I'm sure they did.
Yes,
I mean, Oppenheimer himself.
Of course. Large organizations don't respond to the moral qualms of individuals very well. So that was whatever. It's well known what happened. But no, we should pause and ask, is the machine we're building worth having? And nobody seems to do that. And there are all kinds of economic forces, which nobody ever mentions, that drive that heedlessness, that stupidity. Like California, for example, is completely, the state both of us have lived in, is like collapsing.
Yeah.
And they're betting everything on AI. For the tax base is going to be dependent on this technology working.
Is that really what they're betting on?
Of course. That AI is.
Did you see the most recent thing about the amount of billions of dollars they spent on the homeless problem with no trackable results?
Well, they've had massive results. They've increased the homeless population dramatically. If you pay for something, you get more of it. And that would include fentanyl addicts. Oh, absolutely. It's been a wild success. I actually talked to Gavin Newsom the other day.
Did you really?
Yeah. And
what's that like? Does he smell like sulfur?
It was by phone. I was talking to him on the phone. Such a weird. He smelled like that was too fast for me.
Sulfur and hair grease.
Yeah. No, but I was making fun of. I shouldn't even make fun of it because it's so tragic. But what's happened to the state and people living on the street?
What is his non-gaslighty perspective?
He's like, go back to Russia. You like Russia so much. I was like, I'm originally from San Francisco, but I can't live there because.
He really told you to go back to Russia?
Of course. I mean, he was laughing, whatever. He's a perfectly charming guy. They all are in person. But
of course.
Anyway, I'm so far afield. But my point is, AI is being driven by the greed of politicians to some extent. And you'll notice that AI, by the way, as a fact, those data centers that drive our digital life, which is not life, it's actually death mostly. But, they're the biggest power draw. How much electricity does AI require? Like more than countries. Mm-hmm. Our grid can't handle AI just as a practical matter.
Well,
okay?
Our grid can't handle electric cars.
Well, it can't handle air conditioning in the state of California, where I'm from. So,
Yeah.
Right. If you live east of I-5 where it's really hot and you're not getting those ocean breezes, like they have brownouts, like in South Africa. It's Johannesburg now. So, but here's what's interesting is that none of the global warming cultists seem to have any concerns at all about AI. Why is that? Just like they don't have concerns about John Kerry's G4. Like somehow that's exempt. Really? AI is going to draw more electricity than anything else in the United States, more than steel production, okay? Used to. And you don't have a problem with that, but you're totally against energy because it's destroying the planet, but AI gets a carve out, even though it's going to be the number one energy draw in the United States? Let's go through your reasoning on that.